Every NFL team has their strengths and weaknesses, but what really determines their success is the unknown. Every team has certain aspects of their roster or coaching staff that could swing the entire season for better or for worse. These are their wild cards. In this video, I'm going to discuss what I think is every NFL team's biggest wild card heading into the 2025 season. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Subscribe takes just a second and it really helps me out. Thank you, and let's get started. Arizona Cardinals, can Marvin Harrison Jr. take a leap forward? Harrison had monumental expectations entering the NFL as he was the 4th overall pick in the 2024 draft and was one of the best wide receiver prospects of the 2020s. Harrison wasn't bad in his rookie season, but certainly wasn't amazing and got outperformed by multiple other rookie wide receivers, including Malik Nabers, Brian Thomas Jr., and Ladd McConkey. The Cardinals wide receiver room is not very good right now, but if Harrison has that second-year breakout, the Cardinals passing attack could quickly become very dangerous. But if he doesn't, then the Cardinals offense as a whole could struggle mightily. Atlanta Falcons, can the rookie edge rushers perform early? The Falcons spent 2 first-round picks on 2 edge rushers in this draft, Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., in order to finally fix their pass rush that has been lacking for a while now and was horrible last year. However, they didn't bring in any proven veterans at that edge rusher position, meaning they're entirely relying on their 2 rookies. Both have very high potential, and if either one of them can have a Will Anderson or Jared Verse type rookie year, then the Falcons pass rush won't be all that bad. But if they can't, then the Falcons defense is yet again in for a rough year. Baltimore Ravens, can the secondary stay healthy? The Ravens undoubtedly have one of the best secondaries in the NFL, but their top 3 cornerbacks all have injury concerns, which could potentially hinder their defense. Marlon Humphrey hasn't played a full season since 2022 and only played 10 games back in 2023. Jair Alexander played just 7 games in each of his last 2 seasons, and Nate Wiggins missed 2 games in his rookie year and also dealt with injuries throughout his college career. The Ravens don't have horrible depth, but ideally you don't want TJ Tampa and Robert Longerbeam seeing the field. If the Ravens secondary can stay healthy, they likely will have one of the best defenses in the NFL, but that's a big if. Buffalo Bills, can Joey Bosa stay healthy? Another health-related one here, but this time it's more focused on one specific player rather than an entire position group, and that player is Joey Bosa. We all know how good Bosa is when he's on the field, but he's not on the field all that much. He played 14 games in 2024, 9 in 2023, and just 5 in 2022. His health concerns are the main reason why the Chargers let him go, even though he is still 30 years old. The Bills don't really have that much depth at edge rusher, so if Bosa goes down, their pass rush will take a big hit. Carolina Panthers, can Bryce Young continue to develop? Bryce Young played really well over the final half of the season, throwing 15 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions and had some incredible games, including a 300-yard game against the Chiefs, a 3-touchdown game against the Cardinals, and a 5-touchdown game in Week 18 against the Falcons. That was a stark contrast to his rookie season and beginning of last season, where he looked like a complete bust. Now the question is, can he replicate that success? The Panthers aren't a very talented roster, but if Young could play as well as he did, or even better, then the Panthers could find themselves competing in a really weak division. Chicago Bears, can the new look O-line hold up? It's no secret that the Bears O-line was absolutely awful, as that unit gave up the 3rd most pressures and most sacks in the entire league. It is a miracle that Caleb Williams is even still alive. The Bears revamped their entire interior O-line this offseason, bringing in Joe Thuney, Drew Dolman, and Jonah Jackson. This seems like a huge upgrade on paper, but will it be? The Bears were expected to be a fringe top 10 O-line last season, and look how that turned out. If the Bears give Caleb Williams some actual pass protection, I think he could take a leap forward. But if this O-line disappoints yet again, then we may be looking at the next David Carr. Cincinnati Bengals, can this defense do anything? The Bengals have one of the best offenses in the NFL, we all know that, but it doesn't matter if you score 35 points a game if your defense gives up 40. That was the story of the Bengals in 2024, as they went 4-4 in games where they scored 30 or more points, and that's not even including their 34-27 loss to the Chargers. For reference, the division rival Ravens went 11-0 in games where they scored 30 or more points. The Steelers went 3-0. Even the Titans, the worst team in the NFL, had a better record, going 2-1 when scoring 30 or more points. When you score upwards of 30 points, you should be winning more often than not, but that didn't happen. And unfortunately for the Bengals, it's looking like that's going to be the theme of this season as well. The Bengals defense needs to be at least somewhat competent if they want to have any semblance of success. But right now, I'm not sure that's going to happen. Cleveland Browns, can one of these quarterbacks step up? The Browns brought in 4 new quarterbacks this offseason, so while Deshaun Watson is out celebrating that Diddy got off the hook, these 4 will be actually competing for the starting job. This isn't the worst roster I've ever seen. The Browns Colts defense could actually be solid if their young players step up, but this offense, yeah, it's not looking good. But if either Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, or Joe Flacco can rise to the occasion, then the Browns may not be the worst team in the league. If I was to put money on it, I'd say either Sanders or Pickett, but really any one of these guys could perform. Hell, we might see all four of them at some point throughout the season. The point is, one of these guys needs to play well, or this Browns team could find themselves picking number 1 overall in 2026. Dallas Cowboys, what version of Dak Prescott are we getting? For the past 3 seasons, Prescott has been a pretty polarizing quarterback. In 2022, he was not all that good, setting at the time career highs in interceptions and turnover-worthy play percentage, while also having the lowest PFF grade of his career. But in 2023, he completely turned it around and was legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in the league that year, coming 3rd in passing yards, 1st in passing touchdowns, and at a career-low 2.0 turnover-worthy play percentage. But in 2024, he was back to being mid, as he only played 8 games, but in those 8 games, threw just 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, had more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws, and earned himself a new lowest PFF grade. At this point, coming off an injury, it's hard to tell whether we're going to be getting top 10 quarterback Dak Prescott or bottom 16 quarterback Dak Prescott. The Cowboys have a good roster, sure, but their success depends on if Prescott can perform or not. Denver Broncos, can the run game exceed expectations? I called the Broncos running back room a weakness in my last video, but I also mentioned that they do have upside, and that's where this entry comes from. R.G. Harvey is a talented back who could outperform his expectations, and that would be huge for this offense. I think the Broncos should have a good passing game with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, but if they can't establish a run, their offense will be limited. If Harvey or any one of these backs can provide even just solid play, then I'm really excited for what this Broncos offense and overall team can do, but if they can't, then I would feel way less confident in them as a playoff team. Detroit Lions, can they succeed without their coordinators? Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were some of the best coordinators in the league in 2024, and they were a big reason why the Lions had such a good year, but both of them left this offseason for head coaching jobs, and the Lions have big shoes to fill. John Morton is replacing Johnson as offensive coordinator, and Kelvin Shepard is replacing Glenn as defensive coordinator. It's completely unrealistic to think that either of those guys will be nearly as good as Johnson and Glenn, and the Lions might struggle more in 2025 than in 2024 with their absences. Johnson's elite scheming and trick plays were one of the main reasons why this offense was so good, and Glenn played a huge part in keeping this defense playing well despite all the injuries. It's possible the Lions could be just as good, if not better than last year maybe, but they could also just as easily drop down. Green Bay Packers, can they find a true wide receiver 1? Ever since Devontae Adams left, the Packers haven't found a true wide receiver 1. They've had a lot of solid pieces, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, and others, but no one has emerged, and it's hard to have a top passing attack without a top receiver. They drafted Matthew Golden in the 1st round of this year's draft, so maybe he can be the one to break out. Either way, if the Packers want to be able to compete with the other top teams in the NFC, they're going to need somebody to step up. Houston Texans, can CJ Stroud adapt? Despite CJ Stroud's quote-unquote sophomore slump, I don't think he's by any means a bad quarterback. He dealt with one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and I think everyone knows it. But unlike the Bears, who also had a horrible offensive line last year, I don't think there's any world where this unit isn't bottom 5, which means that Stroud is going to have to change up his play style. Stroud has been top 10 in time to throw in both of his seasons, but that is going to have to change. He needs to learn to get the ball out quick, and I mean quick, because his O-line is not going to be able to hold up. I believe he will be able to do it, but he's got to prove he can, or this offense could struggle. Indianapolis Colts, can Anthony Richardson finally do something? Richardson has been a disappointment ever since he got drafted 3rd overall, and apart from a few nice throws, played pretty bad last season. He's also consistently been injured and even has been dealing with injuries during this year's OTAs. The Colts brought Daniel Jones in, but I'm not sure how much upside he really has. Richardson certainly has more. I don't want to give up on Richardson just yet because he still has tons of potential and could bring success to this Colts team, but at the same time, this could easily turn into a worse version of the Kyle Pitts narrative. Jacksonville Jaguars, can Trevor Lawrence be great? Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. He's firmly in that 13 to 20 range. A good quarterback who you can win a Super Bowl with given the right situation. But he's not great and was drafted number 1 overall to be great. In 2022, Lawrence was great, having the best statistical season of his career to date, led the Jaguars to a playoff win, and came within 1 score of beating the Chiefs in the divisional round of that year. However, he hasn't returned to that 2022 form since, as in both 2023 and 2024, he was fine but nothing amazing. It feels like there's so much to unlock with Lawrence, but we just haven't seen it yet. I think there's no doubt that Lawrence will play good in 2025, but he needs to be great if the Jags want any chance of making the playoffs. They did bring in Liam Cohen, who helped Baker Mayfield have the best season of his career, and Travis Hunter is a very exciting new weapon. If there's any year to fully break out, this is the one. Kansas City Chiefs, can they continue to close out games? The Chiefs went 15-2 in 2024, really 15-1 because I'm not counting week 18 where they played all their backups against the Broncos starters. But it's not because they had the best offense or the best defense or anything like that. It's because they won 11-0 in one-score games in the regular season, 12-0 if you count playoffs. That just doesn't happen often. The only other team to win 11 one-score games in a season were the 2022 Vikings. The Chiefs had some insane wins, including a blocked field goal, a toe out of bounds, a dropped snap, and a bad call. But will they be able to do it again? The Chiefs could have easily gone 10-7 or 9-8 if a few things didn't go their way. Winning by only one score is not a recipe for sustained success, and it's not easily replicated. The 2022 Vikings went 11-0 in one-score games. The 2023 Vikings went just 6-8. I have faith in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to work their magic again. Las Vegas Raiders, can Ashton Jeanty be a top running back? Jeanty is going to be good, probably even a great running back in his rookie season. I have no doubt about that. But what really could determine if the Raiders could compete with the other top teams in the AFC is if Jeanty can have an Alfred Morris or George Rogers type rookie year. Jeanty was one of the best running back prospects in recent memory, putting up Madden rookie mode type numbers in his final season at Boise State, and was drafted 6th overall for a reason. He is the clear-cut #1 running back on this team and is going to get a heavy workload. I think that if Jeanty can help the Raiders have a top running game, their offense could genuinely be very good, and they could absolutely make the playoffs. But if he can't quite do that in his rookie year, then I think the Raiders are in for another season of watching the playoffs from the couch. Los Angeles Chargers, can these young receivers step up? When I'm talking about young receivers, I'm not referring to Ladd McConkey here. We know how good he is. I am more so referring to second-round rookie Trey Harris and former first-round pick Quentin Johnston. Johnston was much better in his second season, with improvements in his reception percentage, yards, touchdowns, and yards per route run. He even ended the season with an incredible 13 reception, 186-yard game against the Raiders. However, he still has some really bad drops and was not good at contested catch situations once again. I don't think he has lived up to his draft position, at least not yet. Trey Harris was a very good prospect but was injured in 2024, and I think there's a wide range of outcomes for him. If both these guys can step up beside McConkey, the Chargers could have a seriously potent passing attack, but if McConkey is the only threat, then their offense will be a lot more limited. Los Angeles Rams, can the offense stay healthy? The Rams have one of the best offenses in the NFL, but I'm not sure they can stay healthy for the entire season. Matthew Stafford is 37 years old and missed games in both 2022 and 2023, so there are questions if he can hold up. Puka Nacua missed extended time last year, playing just 11 games, and Tyler Higbee played just 3. Devontae Adams also missed time last year, and he's now 32 years old. And on top of all that, left tackle Alaric Jackson has been dealing with blood clots, so his availability is now in question, and right tackle Rob Havenstein hasn't played a full season since 2022, and he is now 33 years old. The Rams offense is without a doubt injury prone, and if even just one or two of these guys go down, it could be detrimental to their offensive and overall team success. Miami Dolphins, can their stars bounce back? Pretty much all of Miami's star players had down seasons last year. Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and newly acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick were all worse in 2024 than in 2023. Plus, their two top edge rushers, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, both missed significant time last year, Chubb even missing the whole season, so who knows if they can return to form. The Dolphins are a pretty top-heavy team, but if those players at the top don't play well, this is not going to be a good team. It's as simple as that. Minnesota Vikings, how will JJ McCarthy play? I think JJ McCarthy is going to be really good in what is effectively his rookie season, due to the absolute amazing situation around him. But whether you think he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes, Nathan Peterman, or anything in between, we just don't know. And you can give a quarterback as much help as you want. If they suck, the team is probably going to suck. McCarthy missed his entire rookie season due to a torn meniscus, and he watched as Sam Darnold led the Vikings to a 14-3 record and then collapsed faster than Tom Brady's relationship. It's now his turn to lead the team, and we'll just have to wait and see if he can play well or not. New England Patriots, can Drake May continue to develop? Despite having an absolutely awful surrounding cast, May showed a lot of flashes in his rookie season. It definitely wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but there was more than enough to get excited about what May can do in year 2. But he's got to prove he can take that leap forward. He's got all the tools in the world: size, mobility, a big arm, all of it. And the Patriots brought in Stephon Diggs, Kyle Williams, and Travion Henderson to help May out. As it is so often with these young quarterbacks, the success of the Patriots depends on the success of come May, and we'll see if he can live up to those third overall pick expectations. New Orleans Saints, can their wide receivers stay healthy? The Saints are a bad team, we all know this, but what could prevent them from being a historically bad team is their wide receiver room. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Brandon Cooks are a very solid room that could definitely be worked with. However, that's if they stay healthy, and all three of these guys have massive injury concerns. Olave played just 8 games last year after suffering his 4th concussion in 3 years. Shaheed has never played a full season in his 3 years in the league and played a career-low 6 games in 2024. And Brandon Cooks is 31 years old and played just 10 games last year. If even one of these guys goes down, especially Olave or Shaheed, then this team is going to be even worse than it already is, and that's saying something. They have to stay healthy. New York Giants, can they overcome their brutal schedule? I usually don't like to talk about strength of schedule when it comes to a team's success, because in most years, whatever was predicted to be the hardest schedule usually doesn't actually end up being the hardest schedule. But that's different this year because the Giants got absolutely screwed with their schedule. The Giants' schedule is brutal, with their opponents having a combined 2024 win rate of .574, the highest since the Steelers' 2021 schedule, and they ended up going 9-7-1 that year despite going 12-4 the year before. I mean, look at this shit. The only easy game on here is New Orleans in week 5. That's it. They play Washington twice, Dallas twice, Philadelphia twice, the entire NFC North, the best division of football, Denver, the Chargers, San Francisco. I mean, what the hell? This is one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen, especially considering the Giants were one of the worst teams in the league last year. This is an absolute nightmare, and I have no idea if the Giants can overcome this or not. New York Jets, what version of Breece Hall are we getting? After his rookie season, it looked like Breece Hall was going to be the next great running back in the NFL, but ever since his torn ACL at the end of that rookie season, his numbers have been going down. His yards per carry, yards after contact per carry, breakaway percentage, and receiving yards per route run have all been declining since 2022. Now that he's nearly 3 years removed from his injury, I'm hoping that he can return to that 2022 form because he was one of the best running backs in the league that year, even if he played just 7 games. If he can, the Jets' rushing attack with Hall, Justin Fields, and Braylon Allen will be very dangerous. But if not, that could limit the entire offense. Philadelphia Eagles, can Saquon Barkley avoid the Madden curse? Okay, I know, it's a silly, stupid pick, but what else was I gonna choose? This team is so good that there's basically no questions about them, so I decided to go with this because historically, running backs that have been on the Madden cover have not had good follow-up seasons. The last 4 running backs to make the Madden cover were Christian McCaffrey, Adrian Peterson, Peyton Hillis, and Sean Alexander. Both Alexander and Hillis played just 10 games in the following season, and McCaffrey played just 4. Peterson was the only one to avoid the curse. If Saquon does actually get hurt, Madden curse or not, the Eagles offense will obviously be much worse. Pittsburgh Steelers, how well will a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers play? The Steelers brought in Rodgers to be their starting quarterback, and while he's the best quarterback they've had since Big Ben, he is 41 years old. Rodgers wasn't all that bad for the Jets, but certainly wasn't his usual self. Now the question is, with limited weapons, how well will Rodgers play? I don't think he'll be bad, but I don't know if he'll be able to elevate this team past the wildcard round. His mobility is decreasing, and he doesn't have the arm that he used to. We'll have to wait and see. San Francisco 49ers, can the team stay healthy? The 49ers 2024 season was completely derailed with injuries, as a ton of their star players missed time last year, including, but not limited to, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Dre Greenlaw, Jordan Mason, Aaron Banks, Javon Hargrave, Talanoa Hufanga, Elijah Mitchell, and Nick Bosa. That is a lot, and it's incredibly hard to win when half your team is injured. The 49ers have a talented team, but they need to be able to stay healthy if they want to return to their 2022 and 2023 form. Seattle Seahawks, can the O-line hold up? The Seahawks have not had a good O-line for a while now, and they finally decided to try and address that problem. And by trying to address it, I mean all they did was draft Grace Abel in the first round, who I like a lot, but one player isn't fixing the entire thing. Sam Darnold showed at the end of last season he cannot handle pressure, especially interior pressure, and the interior O-line is probably the biggest concern about the Seahawks. If the offense is going to succeed, the O-line has to play better than it has in years past, or this whole Sam Darnold experiment could be a Malcolm Butler-sized failure. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, can the young guys on defense step up? The Bucs have a great offense, but their defense doesn't quite complement that offense, at least not yet. They have a lot of young guys on there that if they step up, could turn this defense into a top unit. Players like Yaya Diaby, Benjamin Morrison, Jacob Parrish, and Tyke Smith could all see significant playing time in 2025, and they're going to need to play well. Yaya Diaby is the starting edge rusher opposite Hassan Reddick, and Reddick isn't exactly good enough to carry this pass rush on his own. Diaby is going to have to produce. Both Morrison and Parrish are talented corners drafted this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them see the field due to an injury, more 6 DB packages, or the Bucs just want to run a rotation. And Tyke Smith is currently the starting nickel corner and is looking to build off a good rookie season. Bucs have the potential to have a great defense if some of these young guys can take steps forward. Tennessee Titans, how well will Cam Ward play? This one is pretty obvious. First overall rookie Cam Ward's play is likely going to be the main factor in how well the Titans do or not. Ward wasn't the absolute best quarterback prospect in the world, but he was still very good and absolutely deserved to go number 1 overall. He has a lot of nice traits, especially his mobility, and he pairs that with elite pocket presence. The Titans could honestly be anywhere from a 3-win to a 9-win team, depending on if Ward plays well or not. Washington Commanders, can Jaden Daniels do it again? The Commanders blew past everyone's expectations by reaching the NFC Conference Championship in Jaden Daniels' rookie year, and that was mostly because Daniels had an elite rookie season, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year and came 7th in MVP voting. Now the only question is, can he do it again? I don't really believe in the whole Jaden Daniels is gonna have a sophomore slump because CJ Stroud had a sophomore slump, because first of all, that's stupid. Second of all, CJ Stroud didn't really have that much of a slump. His entire wide receiver core got hurt and his O-line was dog shit. And third of all, that's stupid, and if I see more and more posts about it, I'm gonna rip my eyes out. Anyway, personally, I believe Daniels can do it again. I see no reason why he can't, but it is an important question to ask. But that's it. That is every NFL team's biggest wildcard heading into the 2025 season. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya.